We've created an item object in ArcGIS Online that represents a feature service, and in this video we're just going to show how we can use the ArcGIS API for Python to access that content item and return what's known as an item object. So open up the item object.py script from the item object folder. The GIS class has a property called content that gives access to a content manager class. Now from this content manager class, we have a method called get that will allow us to supply in an item ID from ArcGIS Online and return that content item as an item object. Let's just pop over to the documentation for the get method from the content manager. The get method returns the item object for the specified item ID. The item ID is a required string and it is the item identifier. If you recall, when we created our empty feature service, we printed the screen the item ID, and I recommended that you save that in a notepad for the duration of this course. But don't worry, I'm going to show you where you can find that item ID regardless of whether you saved it or not. So the get method returns the item object if the item is found, otherwise it will return none. Now I'll go from here to ArcGIS Online. We created a feature service that is now an item of content in ArcGIS Online. And this video is all about accessing this item content using the ArcGIS API for Python. You see up top in the item URL, we have the item ID. So you can grab the item ID from here whenever you need it. We'll head back to the Python script. We first use the GIS class to access ArcGIS Online. Here we're using the home string. And we'll assign the calling of the GIS class to a variable called AGOL. We're now going to get an item object using the item ID. So I'll create a variable called item, and I'll set that to equal our GIS object. And now we're accessing the content manager. From the content manager, we are using the get method, and I'm going to paste in the item ID. The get method will return an item object, and we're assigning that to a variable called item. I'm going to do a quick assessment of the item object. We'll print the item variable to screen. We'll print the type of the item variable. And in the next couple of videos, we're going to look at properties associated with the item object. For now, I'm just going to print item.type. We saw in the previous video when we created the feature service that we used the ID property to print the item ID. I'll run this script. When we printed the item variable, we can see an item object was returned. The title is our created service that we created in a previous video, and the type is feature layer collection. I'm going to be looking at feature layer collection objects in a later section of this course. We then printed the type of the item variable, and we can see that it is an item object. When we access the type property for our item object, we will return feature service. So our item object is of type feature service. Now it's important to note that an item can be any content item in your ArcGIS Online. It could be a dashboard, could be experience builder, could be a survey 123 form, could be a shapefile or a CSV. Any content item that is stored in your ArcGIS Online can be accessed through the item object. In the next few videos, we're going to take a look at accessing the item object properties and also updating properties related to the item object. Make sure to continue on to the next video in this series and also make sure to subscribe. Take care.